be honest with you, that started to seem like we had something that was pretty good. It was simple. It was equitable. It worked in a number of ways. It was clean. There were things that we could work through, and it kind of made sense until we started to vet it. And what we found is that what we had done is essentially backed into the same problems that exist in a gross receipts tax. That is to say, because we were treating every industry exactly the same, that same petroleum distributor, that same grocery store company that would have been in the same discrete range would have paid the same thing as that retailer or that utility company or that construction company. That was a problem. The governor and his staff challenged us to think harder, to do better. And what we realized is that we had to find a way to treat different industries differently. Take that lightly. What we were trying to do is build equity in, to think about it. We look at states like Washington. We look at states like Ohio. We look at states like Texas. Again, trying to build on what they had. We had a competitive advantage from a state like Texas that does a remarkable amount of research relative to the tax incidence of its own levy. As a matter of fact, one of the tables that they provide has every one of the major industries, those are the industries we're talking about here today, how much those industries generate in terms of gross state product, how much they generate in terms of revenue, and then how much they pay in taxes. Now, of course, in Texas, there are calculations, many of them, before they ever get to that tax calculation. They deduct the cost of goods sold. They deduct the cost of labor, or they deduct a 30% standard deduction. What we have essentially done is said we can look at how each one of these sectors is structured differently. How is construction different from healthcare? How is healthcare different from hospitality and different from manufacturing? How are they different in terms of what they would have taken out of that calculation in order to be treated at a more equitable level? We then built that into our tax rate. We essentially said, if I take the total amount of construction revenue and I needed to generate X amount from that, what would the effective tax rate have to have been? We can call this a margin adjusted tax rate if we want. You can call it a rate that's applied to gross. Any of those is actually fine by me, because at the end of the day, what we did is take that individual rate and adjust it for how much revenue we needed to have in the state of Nevada. So there's a different rate that was used for construction versus manufacturing versus retail. It was applied to the midpoint in each one of those discrete ranges. And that table that has gone around that has all of the industries across the top and all of the discrete ranges down the left-hand side is nothing more than the outcome of that. Realizing that if we're going to have the widest possible base, if we're going to have stability in a tax system, if we need to embrace those, but at the same time, we need to find a way to have the equity that would not otherwise be present from a traditional gross receipts tax,